Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Ayushi Paliwal from University of Delhi. So students, today we are going to discuss the module Why do some properties changes at nanoscale from the paper Physics at Nanoscale. So students, let us start with the learning objectives of this module. First, we will discuss the dominance of electromagnetic forces at nanoscale. Secondly, the quantum mechanics at nanoscale, their key concepts. Thirdly, we will discuss the change in the properties of matter at nanoscale. So, let us discuss a brief introduction about the module. There are different properties of the fundamental forces. First interaction which we are going to discuss is a strong interaction. It is very strong but very short ranged. It acts only over the ranges of the order of 10 to the power minus 13 centimeters and is responsible for holding the nuclei of atoms together. It is basically attractive but can be effectively repulsive in some circumstances. Second kind of force is electromagnetic forces. It causes the electric and magnetic effects such as the repulsion between like electric charges or the interaction of bar magnets. It is long-ranged but much weaker than the strong force. It can be attractive or repulsive and act as only between the pieces of matter carrying the electric charge. Next kind of force which we are going to study is a weak force. It is responsible for radioactive decay and neutrino interactions. It has a very short range and as its name indicates, it is very weak. Next is the gravitational force. It is weak but very long ranged. It is always attractive and it acts as between any two pieces of matter in the universe since mass is the source. Now students, as you can see from this table that there are four basic forces. These are gravitational, electromagnetic, strong and weak nuclear forces. The strong and weak nuclear forces, they are typically short-range interactions and are mostly considered for internuclear interactions and therefore will be neglected in this discussion. The gravitational force is a long-range attractive force between the two masses and is directly proportional to the masses of the two objects and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the objects. Because the mass of nanoscale objects is so small, the force of gravity has a very little effect on the attraction between the objects of this size. Electromagnetic forces may be attractive or repulsive based only on their charge and magnetic properties and are not affected by the masses. Therefore, magnetic and electrostatic forces are very important in deciding the physical and chemical behavior of materials at the nanoscale. The dominance of electromagnetic forces. The gravitational forces, they are proportional to the masses of the bodies in action and hence negligible at nanoscale. And students, as we all know, that the gravitational force is proportional to the product of the masses M1 and M2. Electromagnetic forces are proportional to the charges on the particles in action and does not depend on masses. Hence, they are very strong even at nanoscale. And the electromagnetic force is proportional to the product of Q1 and Q2. Now let us take an example for protons. The electromagnetic forces is approximately equal to 10 to the power 16 times the gravitational force. So the electromagnetic forces dominates over any other kind of force. Why quantum mechanics is needed? Classical mechanical models explain phenomena at the bulk scale, but they break down when dealing with the very small objects and at nanoscale. At the nanoscale, there are many phenomena that cannot be explained by classical mechanics, and these are the quantization of energy, wave-particle duality, tunneling, uncertainty in measurement, and therefore quantum mechanics needs to be invoked. So, some of the topics or the phenomena which are explained by quantum mechanics are photoelectric effect, Compton effect, atomic spectra, double slit experiment, and heat capacity of solids. Quantum mechanics and nanoscale physics, their key concepts. So students, first we will discuss the wave-particle duality of light and matter. Classical mechanical model explain the phenomena at the bulk scale, but it breaks down when dealing with the very small objects and at nanoscale. At the nanoscale, there are many phenomena that cannot be explained by classical mechanics, and therefore quantum mechanics needs to be invoked. So here we cover a few concepts of quantum mechanics needed to explain the physics at nanoscale. In 1690, Christian Huygens theorized light as the wave, but in 1704, Isaac Newton theorized that light was made up of small particles. However, neither a all-particle theory nor a all-wave theory could explain all of the phenomena associated with light. So the wave picture could explain phenomena such as reflection, interference, and polarization, but failed to account for others such as photoelectric effect. Photoelectric effect. The photoelectric effect was explained by Albert Einstein and is observed when the light falls on the surface of a metal, knocking out the electrons in the process. This is clearly explained in this figure. This effect can, however, be completely explained by considering the light to be made up of particles known as photons, and then considering the collisions between the photons and the electrons. Subsequently, scientists begin to treat light as both a particle and a wave, and depending on the experiment you perform. So we see light behave in one of these two ways. This duality was further extended to matter and small particles such as electrons. De Broglie came up with a relation for the wavelength of such matter waves given by lambda is equal to h by p, where h is the Planck's constant and p is the momentum of the particles, that is p is equal to mv. So students, let us now discuss the uncertainty of measurement and Schrodinger's equation. The centerpiece of quantum mechanics is the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. The uncertainty principle states that one cannot accurately determine both the positions x and the momentum p of a particle at the same time, because the process of measuring the particle's position disturbs the particle's momentum and vice versa. So, this also leads to the concept of a wave function associated with a particle, which gives a measure of the probability of finding the particle in a given state. In 1925, physicist Schrödinger analyzed the wave function that electrons would follow if they behaved as waves, and proposed an equation analogous to classical harmonic wave function and Newton's second law, that is, iota h cut del psi as a function of x and t by del t is equal to minus h cut square by 2m del square psi as a function of x and t by del x square plus v as a function of x and t multiplied by psi x t. This is called as the one-dimensional Schrödinger's equation. Here h cut is equal to h by 2 pi, where h is the Planck's constant, m is the electron's mass, and v is the potential energy of the electron. Now the term psi xt is the wave function of the electron such that the modulus of psi xt, the whole square, represents the probability of finding an electron at x and t. Now in 3 dimensions, this Schrödinger's equation can be written as iota h cut del psi x y z t divided by del t equal to minus h cut square by 2m the whole multiplied by del square psi xyzt by del x square plus del square psi xyzt by del y square plus del square psi xyzt by del z square plus v as a function of x, y, z, t multiplied by psi x, y, z, t. Now in one dimension, if the potential energy Vxt is only a function of space and does not changes with time, in most cases this assumption is valid, and assuming for further simplification psi xt is equal to psi x multiplied by ft. Now substituting this back into the Schrodinger's equation, we get minus h cut square by 2m multiplied by del square psi by del x square plus Vx psi is equal to E psi, where the constant E turns out to be the total energy of the particle. Now we consider a few simple solutions to the Schrodinger's equation. Free electrons. Now here we are discussing the Schrodinger equation for free electrons. This implies that for the free electrons, the Vx is equal to 0 for all values of x. Hence, the Schrodinger's equation can be written as del square psi by del x square plus 2me by h cut square multiplied by psi is equal to 0. Because the energy E must always be positive, we assume k square equal to 2me by h cut square. Now solving the second order differential equation, we get the general solution as psi x is equal to a exponential of iota kx plus b exponential of minus iota kx. Including the time dependence, we find that the solutions represents the traveling waves in the positive and the negative x directions. The energy E is equal to h cut square k square by 2m. Comparing with the results from classical mechanics, where the kinetic energy is given by p square by 2m, we find that the momentum p is given by h cut k, which is nothing but the de Broglie's equation. Now if we'll plot the total energy E as a function of k, we obtain a parabolic relationship. This is also called as the dispersion of free electrons. Now considering not the free electrons but the electrons in a potential well, and that too the infinite well. An infinite potential well has zero potential inside and infinite outside the well, and this is described by Vx is equal to infinity if x is less than 0. It is equal to 0 if x ranges from 0 to a, and it is again infinity if x is greater than equal to a. Inside the potential well, the electrons behaves as the free particles, and outside the potential well, the probability of finding an electron is 0 due to the infinitely high barriers. Therefore, psi 0 is equal to 0 and psi a equal to 0. Within the well, the solutions are given by psi is equal to a exponential iota kx plus b exponential minus iota kx. Now, as the wave function must be continuous at the boundaries, we get psi 0 must be equal to a plus b, and this is equal to 0, which implies b is equal to minus a. And psi a, that is putting the value of x equal to a in psi x, we get a exponential iota ka plus a exponential minus iota ka should be equal to 0, which implies that b is equal to minus a. Now this leads to the two equations, and these are 2 iota sine of ka is equal to 0 and E is equal to n square h square by 8ma square. And by normalizing the wave function such that the probability of finding the electron over all space is 1, we get psi x is equal to root of 2 by a multiplied by sine of kx. Here n is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. It is an integer and we call it the quantum number. From this equation, it is clear that the energy of an electron inside an infinite well can only be at some finite and discrete levels as opposed to that of a free electron. So the quantization of the energy levels is a direct result of the Schrodinger's equation and the continuity of the wave function. Unlike classical mechanics, where a particle or the object can take any value of energy, in quantum mechanics, the energy of an electron can only have a quantized value. The potential and the quantization. As we already know that the energy levels are quantized for an electron in an infinite potential well, and the energy is equal to n square h square by 8ma square, and the difference between the two adjacent energy levels is given by delta E is equal to En plus 1 minus En is equal to 2n plus 1 multiplied by h square divided by 8ma square. So, as the size of the potential well A decreases, the energy level spacing decreases. Therefore, large values of A, we can consider the energy levels to be continuous rather than discrete, as the spacing becomes vanishingly small. In other words, when the feature size is large, quantum mechanical predictions agree with the classical results. This is also known as the Bohr's correspondence principle. So as you can see over here that there are different wave functions corresponding to the quantum number n equal to 1, that is psi 1, n equal to 2, psi 2, n equal to 3, psi 3. and correspondingly we have the probability psi1 square, psi2 square and psi3 square. Now the hydrogen atom is the best example for an electron in a potential well. So here there is a proton around the nucleus and one electron is revolving around the nucleus. According to the Schrödinger equation, means by solving the Schrödinger equation, we get the quantized energy levels, that is corresponding to n equal to 1, we have the energy minus 13.59 electron volt, and then it is decreasing when the value of n is increasing, and when n is equal to infinity, it is almost equal to 0. And here the potential is of the form of minus E square by R. This effect of constraining potential is that the energy of the hydrogen atom becomes quantized. Another example of quantum well is the organic molecule. Now here you can see any kind of organic molecule where the length of the organic molecule can be considered as the length of the box in which there is an electron. That is around 8 angstrom. Now what wavelength of light corresponds to delta E from n equal to 1 to n equal to 2? So we can write delta E to be equal to h square by 8ml square multiplied by n square final minus n square initial. Now putting the value of L equal to 8 angstrom and n final to be equal to 2 and n initial to be equal to 1, and then we get the energy as 2.8 multiplied by 10 to the power minus 19 joules, which is approximately equal to 680 nanometers. So this much wavelength, that is around 700 nanometer, is required for the excitation from n equal to 1, or for this much energy difference between n equal to 1 to n equal to 2. Students, let us now discuss tunneling across a barrier. Now, what is tunneling? Tunneling is a microscopic phenomenon that suggests the passage of a particle through a potential barrier is allowed even when the particle's total energy is less than the height of the barrier. So, there are numerous examples in physics which explains the tunneling phenomena, and the tunneling phenomena has been established unambiguously, particularly in microscopic world. However, the concept of tunneling is invalid according to classical mechanics. Tunneling is purely a quantum phenomena, and this is manifested in the dominant contribution of quantum effects at nanoscale. The tunnel effect underlies many important processes in different fields of physics, such as atomic, molecular, nuclear, and solid-state physics. For example, it is the basis of scanning tunneling microscope, which can be used to image the nanostructures on the surfaces. So now, if the particle's energy E is less than V, and as the kinetic energy of the particle is p square by 2m equal to E minus V, where m is the mass of the particle, it would be negative and particle's momentum p would be an imaginary quantity. So now fixing the particle in a region of space within the barrier makes the particle's momentum indeterminate because of the uncertainty relation. Now continuing our discussion over quantum tunneling, consequently there is a non-zero probability of finding the particle in a region that is forbidden from the standpoint of classical mechanics. However, there is a definite probability of the particle's passage through the potential barrier. This circumstance corresponds to the tunnel effect. Now this figure shows the schematic illustration of the quantum tunneling through a barrier. The probability increases as the mass of the particle decreases. The thickness of the potential barrier decreases, and the difference V minus E between the particle's energy and the height of the barrier decreases. The probability of passage through the barrier is called as the penetration probability and is the principal factor determining the physical characteristics of the tunnel effect. Now, solutions to the wave equation we have is shown in this figure. That is, the potential is of this form. That is, there are three regions, first, second and third. And if we solve the Schrödinger equation in the barrier region, the solution becomes the second. That is, it is exponentially decaying in the second region, in the barrier region basically, and the solutions are of the form of a exponential of iota kx plus b exponential minus iota kx in region 1, which will be the same in region 3, almost the same. And in the second region, we have the solution of the form c exponential kx plus d exponential minus kx. If some portion of the wave function still exists on the other side of the barrier, transmission has occurred, as shown in the figure below. Now, if the width of the barrier is the most important factor in determining the probability of transmission, as shown in the last figure, that is, the width has been reduced, so the transmission is towards to a longer distance. Scanning tunneling microscope is the best example based on quantum tunneling, and its schematic is shown in this figure. It was invented in 1981 by Gerd Binnig and Heinrich Rohrer. Now here, when a metal tip, which is usually made of tungsten or platinum iridium, is brought within 0.4 to 0.7 nanometer of the sample, electrons tunnel across the gap and create a current in the tip. This current is then fed to a computer and used to generate an image of the atomic surface of the sample. So students, these are some of the images which are being created and viewed by STM for manipulating atoms and studying the surface morphology of the films. Why do properties changes? When we look at the nanomaterials, there are four important distinctions from the bulk materials. Due to the small mass of the particles at nanoscale, gravitational forces are negligible, and instead the electromagnetic forces are dominant in determining their behavior. Nanoparticles tend to have a very large surface area to volume ratio. So at nanoscale, to describe the motion and energy, quantum physics takes over the classical physics, and concepts such as tunneling, quantum confinement, and energy quantization, they become important. Random Brownian molecular motion becomes more important at nanoscale. So as explained earlier, the results of these effects leads to a very interesting and different physics being studied at nanoscale. So students, let us summarize what we have learned in this module. First, the electromagnetic forces, they are very important in deciding the physical and chemical behavior of the materials at nanoscale. Second, the photoelectric effect can be completely explained by considering the dual nature of light, that is, to be made of particles known as photons, and then considering collisions between photons and electrons. Lastly, we studied the quantization of energy levels. It is a direct result of the Schrodinger's equation, and the discrete energy levels, they were estimated for free electrons and electrons in an infinite potential well. Next, we studied the tunneling phenomena, which is purely a quantum phenomena, and this is manifested in the dominant contribution of quantum effects at nanoscale. So due to various effects, various properties of the material changes when studied at nanoscale. Thank you.